Yo, the Big D is live this afternoon on the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page talking all things NFL coaches. Before I tell you about all the news, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. Not only see this stream, but all the updates and Big D episodes that I upload. Speaking of the Big D podcast, you can always see us on Spotify and Apple. So obviously, coaches are a big part of any great NFL team. Teams don't win Super Bowls without great coaches. But I do think there is a change. The last 3, 4, 5 years, offensive coaches seem to have an advantage over defensive coaches. You look at recent Super Bowl champs since New England's last Super Bowl. Super Bowl 54, Andy Reid, offensive-minded head coach. Super Bowl 55, Bruce Arians, offensive-minded head coach. Super Bowl 56, Sean McVay, offensive-minded head coach. And of course, the Chiefs last year, Super Bowl 57, with Andy Reid. Offensive-minded head coaches have an advantage over defensive-minded coaches. We've seen it in the last in matchups involving the Bills, where seemingly Sean McDermott is at a disadvantage, whether it's against Andy Reid or even last year Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, how many times did Josh Allen put up yards and points, and yet the Bills can't seemingly stop anyone? And until this year, Buffalo didn't have much of a running game, which meant Josh Allen was the running game. And even in the playoffs, Josh Allen was rushing seemingly every other play. Offensive-minded head coaches in today's NFL are at an advantage. There are two more offensive-minded coaches in the Super Bowl. And generally, unless you've got a great quarterback, maybe Josh Allen or CJ Stroud in Houston, you need an offensive-minded head coach and a top 8 to 10 quarterback. Does that mean a defense-minded coach is immune from winning? No, but you need a really good quarterback. Unfortunately for the Bills, can't win the big game in January. Or maybe if Josh Allen played under Brian Dable as his head coach, the Bills would have won a couple more of those key games against the Chiefs or Bengals. Speaking of big coach, how about the two coaches coaching the Super Bowl, Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan? To me, there are two great NFL coaches who have changed the NFL the past 45 years, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Bill Walsh with the San Francisco 49ers, and now Andy Reid. What Coach Walsh did with that West Coast offense, Joe Montana might have been a great quarterback, but Joe Montana, Bill Walsh, Jerry Rice just caused so much havoc because you knew what was going to happen. You put 3 guys on Jerry Rice, and he was still going to run the ball by him. And Joe Montana was so precise. He could put the ball literally where it was. If the play required an 8-yard pass, Joe Montana was going to throw that right at 8 yards. And Andy Reid is this era's version of Bill Walsh. You see what he does with the Chief offense. Motions all the time. Both these coaches are great with designs, play schemes. You see what the Chiefs, what the start off games with first 15 plays is like woof, 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 woof. And what I loved about the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game was how Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes got everyone involved. Travis Kelce involved, Pacheco, Rashee Rice. It's like don't forget about your stalls, because guess what happens in big games? You get the stalls an early touch, and all of a sudden Travis Kelce's catching 11 balls for over 100 yards and a touchdown, and looks like Travis Kelce again. And everybody seemingly wants an Andy Reid coach. Everybody wants a Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan coach, but there's none better. And in today's NFL, yes, Andy Reid's 65? He'll be 66 in a few weeks. But I think Andy Reid's coaching a few more years. There's no better coach. I don't know if there's a better play designer or play call than Andy Reid. Andy Reid. I mean, he's been in what? 11 conference championship games, and this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. His 5th Super Bowl, 4th in the last 5 years. Pretty hard for a coach to be in 4 out of the last 5 Super Bowls. Now, it helps if Pat Mahomes is your quarterback, but we've even seen Mahomes struggle. I mean, mechanically, I think the last year or 2 years ago, Mahomes is in a funk, and Andy Reid got that funk out of Mahomes, and the only thing funky about Mahomes might be his dad bod lately. But I love watching Andy Reid. Like, I mean, everybody thinks he's funny, and yes, Andy Reid might look like he's funny, but he's extremely hard on his players. And if you're not performing well or practicing well, guess what? You're not going to play. It doesn't matter if you're Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, or the backup center. And we've seen a couple different versions of the Chiefs. I mean, that first version when Mahomes was cheaper, the Kansas City was more finesse team. Hit you on the deep play, hit Tyreek Hill on the go route, Travis Kelce over the middle of the field. But then in the Super Bowl against Tampa, the offensive line was a huge problem. Gave up way too many sacks, way too much pressure. And Kansas City rebuilt the offensive line in one offseason. Getting Joe Tooney, getting Orlando Brown, drafting Humphrey, Trent Smith. And now Kansas City's. I mean, you see defensive coaches take 10 years to rebuild an O-line. Kansas City did in one offseason. Offensive line coaches can rebuild O-lines faster than ever. And secondly, it's hard to trade a number one receiver and lose. And not lose anything. I mean, I'm not sure Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers ever recovered from losing Devontae Adams. Tennessee never recovered from trading A.J. Brown. Kansas City, despite trading Cheetah, was the top offense this year. Now, this year took a step back because Travis Kelce wasn't himself. The offensive line lost both tackles, so gave up too many pressures, too many mistakes. But in the playoffs, very few mistakes, very few penalties, and maybe not high scoring chief offense, but an offense built to win and on the road. One that relies on the running game, which is not Andy Reid's forte. Andy Reid wants to throw the ball more than run it, but we've seen the Chiefs run it more with Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, Rashid Rice, even MVS remembered how to catch the ball. So, Andy Reid has got a chance to catch Belichick. Maybe not in Super Bowl wins, but, if Kansas City won its 3rd Super Bowl in the past 5 years, I mean, some people might call Andy Reid one of not the best coaches ever. Certainly one of the best offensive-minded coaches ever. I mean, you won Super Bowls with a couple different ways. One's with, finesse team. One's with more physical team. And then this Kansas City defense has become a top 2-3 unit in the league. I mean, Kansas City can win whatever way you want. Win with speed, win with power, win finesse, toughness, go on the road. it is something how this Kansas City team keeps evolving, almost like how New England did with the defense first, running the ball, Tom Brady be a system passing, then the great wide receivers with Moss, Wes Walker, then maybe more the Gronk, Aaron Hernandez, Edelman, Danny Amendola. It, this Kansas City offense is evolving now. It might not score quite as many points, but if the defense doesn't give up more than 20, 24 points, the Chiefs only need to put up that many or a few more to win. So, I mean, what Andy Reid does early, I mean, Kansas City didn't score a point in the second half last week, but the Chiefs won by getting out early and getting a foothold in the game. And I think Andy Reid's brain just makes. I mean, would Pat Mahomes be this great if he were in Chicago? Probably not. Helps that he's with one of the best coaches in league history. And then maybe the heir apparent to Andy Reid, and that's Kyle Shanahan. I mean, obviously, remember what Mike Shanahan did winning back to back Super Bowls with the Broncos. And Kyle Shanahan looks like he could very well join. I mean, man, I feel like Kyle Shanahan's been one of the unluckiest coaches. I mean, OC in Atlanta when the Falcons blew that 28-3 Super Bowl lead against the Patriots. And then seemingly been the coach who can't win the big game. I mean, San Francisco got to the Super Bowl, blew a 10-point lead against the Chiefs in Miami, and then come close, making what? NFC Championship game after NFC Championship game. 10 wins, 13 wins, 12 wins, 13. Well, the last couple of weeks, San Francisco not only showed the 49ers can win the big game, but could come back because the 49ers were down big against the Packers and down 17 against the Lions and won both those games. And I mean, Kyle Shanahan's record has been awful. Went down even 7. And the Niners came back, never gave up. And I think of Kyle Shanahan much the same way I do Andy Reid. Great play schemer, designer. Might go a little too conservative, maybe rely too much on Christian McCaffrey. But I've seen a different Kyle Shanahan. When the Niners last reached the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G didn't throw that many passes. And we're seeing Brock Purdy throw the ball more. I think Shanahan trusts Brock Purdy more. And we see Purdy make some big time throws. I mean, maybe a few lucky throws. The one that Ayuk was a bit fortunate, but get everybody involved. Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey. And Brock Purdy, I mean, could he be this? Could he be the second coming of Tom Brady? I don't know. I mean, what he's done with Purdy, I don't remember Brock Purdy being this good of a runner in Iowa State. I mean, he's made some big time runs. He's not going to be. Brock Purdy will never be compared with Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen running wise, but made some big time escapes and scrambles. So, and you know, seemingly everybody wants a piece of Kyle Shanahan. He's losing coaches left and right. Right. Last couple of years, for years. Mike McDaniel became the Dolphin head coach. D'Amico Ryans became the Texan head coach. Bobby Slovak became the Texans offense coordinator. Doesn't matter. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, and Andy Reid lose coordinators, assistant coaches. Doesn't matter. I'll talk about a couple Ram and ex-49 assistants, but with Kyle Shanahan, there's one thing he's missing, and that's a Super Bowl ring. I mean, Andy Reid was the best coach never, or best current coach never won a Super Bowl. I feel like Kyle Shanahan's that coach. I mean, most of the great coaches coaches eventually get a ring. Andy Reid got one. Sean McVay, Sean Payton, you know, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Doug Peterson. Bruce Arians won one with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. But Kyle Shanahan is back in the Super Bowl, and it's appropriate they're facing the Chiefs because you get a little bit of revenge. So maybe having Christian McCaffrey helps. I mean, what he's done with McCaffrey, because McCaffrey was great in Carolina, but I'm not sure he was this consistent. I mean, you could get 3-4 yards, and all of a sudden CMC just gets a 50-yard run. I mean, McCaffrey just a touchdown score. Like, if you bet Christian McCaffrey to score anytime touchdown, I think in all but 3 of his games this year, you would have made some money. So I think Kyle Shanahan feels like one of these coaches who could take the reins and control the NFL into the next 10, 15 years, because Kyle Shanahan is only 44. You would think he's older than that. You would think Kyle Shanahan's a lot older than 44. And then coaches, before I go into the all the coaching vacancies that have been finalized, I want to talk about 3 men who look like will not be coaching this year. One, well, Bill Belichick. Obviously, Bill Belichick, 6 Super Bowls in New England. But really, the Patriots have regressed. New England's done a lot of strange things draft-wise. Bill Belichick's never been a great draft and developer of wide receivers. He's really gone out and traded for some. I mean, Wes Walker, Randy Moss. But the Patriots have never really drafted and or developed great wide receivers lately. I mean, Julian Edelman was the last, I guess you would say, somewhat productive receiver the Patriots drafted. But I mean, Gronk and Aaron Hernandez from tight ends. So, and you look at Belichick, I don't think he kept up with the game offensively. I think he tried to control many of the New England drafts, and Patriots drafts became more lethargic. I mean, last year where New England looked like the Patriots needed wide receivers, they kept drafting linemen, defensive backs, and kickers. That can't happen in 2023 or 2024. The Patriots need more offense, and Bill Belichick was stuck in his ways. And, maybe Bill Belichick, I mean, I don't see Bill Belichick taking off a year and then coming back and winning a Super Bowl right away. Could we have seen the last of Belichick as a coach? Perhaps. I mean, but let me tell you this. There are 3 or 4 head coaches who need to win this year. Otherwise, there could be some big-time coaching out there. I mean, you look at Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia, Mike McCarthy in Dallas, Brian Daboll in New York, Sean McDermott in Buffalo, Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. I mean, especially with top 10, 12 big name quarterbacks, if those guys don't win this year, somebody could end up on the hot seat, if not out of there. The other one, Pete Carroll. I mean, we know what Pete Carroll is. I mean, Hall of Fame coach with the Seahawks, won a Super Bowl, got to another Super Bowl. And I mean, I've loved Pete energy wise. I mean, Pete and Bill feel like different guys, but Pete Carroll's problem is that I think he was too loyal to Geno Smith. I think Pete Carroll wanted Geno Smith to succeed. And yeah, Geno was really good in 22, regressed big time this past year. And you look at it with the number 5 pick, Seattle could have gotten itself Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud. make a move up the board. Now you've got a franchise quarterback. Gino could start this year, but Anthony Richardson would have been ready in a year. Give him a chance to start because the Seahawks lacked a quarterback. And Pete Carroll was, again, like Belichick, maybe too much an influence on the defense side. I mean, Seattle, how was drafts were wacky for a few years. Then John Steiner took back control. Seahawks have nailed the last couple of drafts. I don't know if Pete Carroll's done coaching. I feel like he's got a lot of energy left. But Pete needs a really good young offensive mind, and or a quarterback to work. And then I can't believe this. Nobody picked him up, but Mike Vrabel. I mean, he succeeded really well in Tennessee. Won a division title with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. And while many New England assistants or players have not done well, Mike Vrabel has done really well. Now, Tennessee's not been the same since trading A.J. Brown, but that's not really Mike Vrabel's fault. He didn't trade A.J. Brown, and I mean with Tennessee, I thought Vrabel was a really good coach, and that's saying someone who watches a lot of Titans games. I mean, the Titans knocked my Jags out of the playoffs, and they did with old Ryan Tannehill, and old Derrick Henry. I mean, the Titans always play hard. It didn't matter who the Titans put on the center. Tennessee always played hard, and there were some games where Tennessee was completely overmatched. But Vrabel was not overmatched. Now, maybe it was too defensively minded, perhaps. Maybe the Titans lacked offense engineering, perhaps. But I think Mike Vrabel was a really good coach, and it's a shame nobody picked him up. But we'll see. Vrabel's still a young enough guy. He could take off a year and come back. Maybe ends up at DC somewhere. Maybe ends up waiting a year or two before a better opportunity arises. So I want to briefly mention the 8 coaching vacancies that have now all been filled, starting with the biggest one of all, the Chargers getting Jim Harbaugh. Seemed like a natural fit. I mean, Jim Harbaugh won a national championship in Michigan, got to 3 straight NFC championship games with the Niners, win 44-19-1. And with the 49 Stanford, Michigan, and the 49ers, Harbaugh teams were always physical, could beat you out the line of scrimmage, and didn't always ask the quarterback to win every game. Now, I'm not sure Harbaugh's ever gotten a Justin Herbert quarterback, so I'm intrigued how that marriage fits, but I can't wait to see what Herbert and Harbaugh do together. Of course, Harbaugh playing the NFL. In fact, Harbaugh's last game was with the Chargers in 2000. So it's funny that Harbaugh's going back to Southern California. And the Chargers finally paid a lot of money for the head coach. The Chargers have been frankly cheap with coaches. Not now. And then the one that was just finalized today, the Washington Commanders hired Dallas Cowboy defense coordinator Dan Quinn to be head coach. Obviously, Dan Quinn been Pete Carroll forever. Super Bowl 43-42 as Falcon head coach. Super Bowl with Kyle Shanahan as his offensive coordinator. I think Quinn will bring a lot of energy. I actually thought Washington was a better job opening than most because Washington's got a new owner, a lot of money to cap space, number 2 picks, so potentially Drake May or Jane Daniels, a lot of good offensive personnel. Maybe the Commanders might have been that. Maybe if Ben Johnson wanted to be a head coach, Washington would have been a fit. But I think Dan Quinn's got a chance of succeeding. It's just who does he get as an offensive coordinator and a quarterback? Because as we saw with the Mika Ryans in Houston, you get the quarterback, and all of a sudden you can win the division. And watch it this time next year, Dan Quinn might be the longest tenured coach in the NFC East if the other three bomb out. And then the Seattle Seahawks hired Mike McDonald, former Raven defensive coordinator, as head coach. I mean, Baltimore put together the number one scoring defense in the league, gave it, what, 16.5 points per game, gained 60 sacks. I think McDonald even coached um, Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. So this guy may be youngest head coach in the NFL now. Sorry, Sean McVay, but it will be interesting to see what he does because, I mean, Seattle's a really interesting fit. I mean, Seattle's got a lot of young talent. Just need a quarterback. You know, defense minded coach, first time head coach. We'll see what happens there. But Raheem Moore's heading back to the ATL. He was the Falcon interim coach after Dan Quinn was fired a few years ago. Went 4-7. Then was the DC with the Rams. I think he was part of the Super Bowl team. But Raheem Morris was back in the day the Tampa Bay Buck head coach. I think he was like in his early 30s. Never really got a great opportunity. So now, second chance of being a full-time head coach. I do like he brought in Zach Robinson as his OC, so familiarity. Let me guess. Sean McVay head coaches. I wonder why. But do like the fact. Just a question: who the Falcons get a quarterback? Because the NFC South is crazy. Can the Falcons get? I mean, the Falcons' defense wasn't great, so Raheem Morris can get that side of the ball fixed. And then can the Falcons get Bijan, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London the ball? Because those three guys have to do better. Have to do better. And then staying in the NFC South, Dave Canales goes from Tampa to Carolina. I mean, Dave worked wonders with Russ, and this year with Baker Mayfield in Tampa. And I mean, it's another young coach, first time head coach, but again, offensive minded head coach, and he's worked well with smaller quarterbacks. I mean, Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young might be smaller than either one of them. So I think Canales will understand what Bryce Young can do as a coach. It just can the Panthers get these guys some weapons and linemen because Carolina's got some really good personnel on defense, but the Panthers have no wide receivers to speak of. So it doesn't matter. I mean, Baker Mayfield last year might not have been a great quarterback. Carolina and LA in 22 looked very good. Won a playoff game. I mean, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Rashad White. I mean, can Carolina get some personnel for its number one pick last year? We'll see. And then Jared Mayo taking over from Bill Belichick. Oof, that's going to be hard to replace in a legend in Bill Belichick. But Jared Mayo played and coached in New England, knows the system, young coach. Maybe one the players will relate more to because he's a former player, might know what these guys need, might know what these guys demand and expect from a head coach. Maybe Bill Belichick's a bit stubborn. I think with New England, it's just who the Patriots get as a quarterback because obviously it seems like New England's running its course with Mac Jones. And then can the Patriots get themselves some wide receivers? I mean, Jared Mayo We'll see what he does. New England assistants or former New England assistants haven't always done well. I mean, Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels, Charlie Wise, Romeo Cannell. Maybe, maybe Mayo can be that guy. I mean, and then Antonio Pierce. I mean, Raiders interim head coach is now the Raider head coach. I mean, 5-4, playing the NFL a long time. Not really a lot of coaching experience, but one to play, but a coach the players loved in Las Vegas. We saw Max Wallace be like, if Antonio Pierce is not my head coach, trade me. Well, he'll be your head coach this year, Max. And in Las Vegas, Pierce understands locker room. He understands what those guys want. Now, might not be great with fan analytics, might not, but the Raiders were a different team. Maybe it was just getting rid of McDaniels and having somebody who the players liked and trusted, because Las Vegas became a different team. I mean, they beat Kansas City on Christmas Day. Who had that? But I think if you're the Raiders, it's just, can the Raiders fall together physicality, a little old school football? So I can't wait to see what Antonio Pierce does this year. I mean, the AFC West with Reid, Harbaugh, and Payton, 3 Super Bowl head coaches, and Antonio Pierce. And not just 3 veteran Super Bowl head coaches. And lastly, the Tennessee Titans had Brian Callahan, been the OC in Cincinnati, the past 4 or 5 years. Helped Joe Burrow and the Bengals reach Super Bowl 56. Again, young offensive mind head coach. And with Will Levis there, Tennessee needs to get more wide receivers, but maybe Callahan can work wonders with Levis. I mean, Levis looks like he should be on the world's strongest man and not maybe a golf gym in Orange Beach, California. But could he help? Will Levis develop, mature, and become a reasonable quarterback? Because we've seen those kind of coaches. I mean, Zach Taylor's an offensive-minded head coach at Cincinnati, so maybe Callahan. I mean, it is an interesting fit getting Callahan, because I'm not sure how many people would have put him to be a head coach, but Tennessee, all they felt like, let's get an offensive-minded coach and hope he can get the most out of Levis. So a lot of different ways. Offensive-minded coaches, defensive-minded coaches. We'll see what happens. 3 big names out there. And then also, can't wait to see the Super Bowl. I'll be breaking down the Super Bowl. I mean, Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan, part 2. Maybe the 49ers get revenge on the Chiefs for what happened in Miami. How about the Chiefs and 49ers meet in Miami and then Vegas? I'm not sure there could be 2 bigger partier towns in the U.S. So, thanks for tuning into the stream today. I will be back. A lot more videos, Super Bowl next week, so the Big D will be pumping out some more content. But for now, I am signing off.